the king of the temples too. Don't let him rise and make a fool of you. Let your soul feel whole and refuse to let him in. Let your light shine bright and learn to see again.
This is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings and all things Chicago Blackhawks. This is a Stick Blade Podcast with your hosts, Jordan Linscott, David Barnhouse, Nick LePage, and Tim Stompanato. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. It is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings and Chicago Blackhawks news, as well as news around the NHL. I'm your host for tonight, Jordan Linscott, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Nick LePage and David Barnhouse. Everybody, welcome to the show. Again, your place for all things Hawks, all things Wings. We started with the Hawks last week, so we're going to start with the Wings this week. On tonight's show, in regards to the Detroit Red Wings, we're going to be talking about the fact that the Detroit Red Wings are still struggling. Derek Lalonde still has a job as well, despite other head coaches in the NHL who have a better record, weirdly enough, getting fired this week. Also, we're going to touch on the fact that the Grand Rapids Griffins are the, I think, only bright spot in the organization. The team is on fire in the AHL right now. We're going to talk about that. And then on the Blackhawks side of the podcast, we're going to talk about the fact that the Hawks as well are continuing to struggle. And it's not like a playoff expectation. It's just literally they have not lived up to expectations of being even remotely competitive this season. Their continued struggles. Connor Bedard, even at this point, really like kind of wearing his emotions on his sleeve when he's talking to the media. Also, I guess the cool thing for them we're going to talk about, though, they officially revealed their Winter Classic jerseys for the Winter Classic. It's New Year's Eve, right, Nick?
New Year's Eve, yes.
Yeah, so the New Year's Eve game. And spoiler alert, they're fucking awesome. Like, they're good ones.
Oh, we got our first one out of the way already.
Dang.
And then when we move to the rest of the NHL, we're going to be talking about Jim Montgomery being fired from the Boston Bruins, as well as Alex Ovechkin out with an injury. Those are the only two major pieces of leagues news to talk about.
You forgot to say fired by the Bruins and then hired by the Blues.
Yeah. What was he off of the Bruins for, like 2 days or something?
It was like 2 days. Not even.
But no, boys, let's just jump right into this one. So we'll start with the Wings because we started with the Blackhawks last week. The Detroit Red Wings are continuing to struggle, and I feel like I don't want to rehash everything we talked about last week, but the Red Wings can't seem to put any meaningful game together. The game that they won against the Islanders, it was a slow game. They got very lucky that Lucas Raymond got literally a last-minute goal to put them up 2-1 in that game. And then the game versus Boston last night, Detroit just looked okay for the first 30-ish minutes. Them and Boston kind of matched tempos for the first 30, 40-ish minutes. And then they did what we've been saying they've been doing all season. They completely just take the foot off the gas during 20 minutes of the game. And it happened to be the third period, and shocker, Boston completely separated the goal the shot differential, and also in conjunction with shots on nets, they also put up a goal. David, what is going on with this club? Like Derek Lalonde, every time he gets talked to in the media, says we played a good 30 minutes, we played a good 40 minutes. At what point as a coach do you demand 60 minutes?
I just want him to stop talking. That's what I'm honestly wanting. Like, every time he opens his mouth, it's just nonchalant, no emotion, stupidity that comes out. And it's just like, I don't look at the standings. We've played a good 30 minutes. We did? Where? Because we're not seeing it. Patrick Kane's literally out there just enjoying a nice free skate because he's being wasted. Our offense is non-existent. Tarasenko doesn't show up. There's nothing pushing them to keep going, and this style of play that he's trying to push does not fit the style of players that we have. We keep asking ourselves, how does this man still have a job? And it's getting ridiculous. And like I was talking with a coworker who's also a Red Wings fan, and when we beat the Islanders, we're like, dang, that just helped him keep his job for the foreseeable future because it was an exciting win with Berggren and Raymond getting exciting goals. And what is Yzerman even doing? Like, he has to, Mr. Yzerplan, Mr. Smart with Stats, building teams, has to see this is not the team we had last year in terms of effort and output. And yes, it's not entirely on the lawn, but a big portion of it is. And I feel like I'm just a record spinning over and over saying the exact same things because it is the exact same things, the exact same problems. And honestly, I feel like we just wasted an opportunity at getting a coach because we'll talk about it later in the show with Montgomery, but he was fired then hired in less than 72 hours. And now we have nothing besides Lalonde to keep dealing with.
I want to issue a challenge to any Wings fan or any fan across the NHL. Go watch a press conference with Derek Lalonde, and I promise you, you will hear the same three phrases over and over. I thought we had good shifts. I thought we generated some good chances. We had a good 30, 40 minutes. We have to work on getting pucks to the net. Every press conference, he says the exact same things.
I mean, I said it.
Am I on crazy pills?
No, I said it last week and the week before. He's Matt Patricia. He takes no responsibility. Matt Patricia was the exact same way, and he dismisses things. Like, we played a great 3 minutes. Matt Patricia just dismissed things too, and it was like, there are glaring issues, and you're not addressing them. You're not taking crazy pills, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he was allowed to coach another game after the loss versus San Jose. You would think that was the one that kind of punched the ticket, sayonara, goodbye. You have to start asking, too, is it Yzerman that's gun shy to let him go, or is it coming from ownership, do you think? Like, what is your guys' history on firing coaches I mean, I know you guys had a lot of success, the previous decade, but, like, what is your history of firing a coach middle of the season?
I don't think we've ever done it.
I honestly can't think of us ever doing it in my lifetime.
Not in my lifetime either, yeah.
Well, because you guys were all so good, though, so that was that.
I mean, in our lifetime, Jordan, we've had Scotty Bowman,
Mike Babcock, Jeff Blashill, and now Derek Lalonde.
Okay, Blashill being released in the end of the season. They didn't fire him.
Yeah, that's another one. You would think that's a guy you would have just kind of fired midway through, but I mean, I know it's not football, but I'm kind of going through the same issues with the Chicago Bears. I'm like, all right, we got to can this guy. But with hockey, it seems like you have a team that we all thought was a playoff team on paper.
Yep.
We all thought it at the beginning of the year. Last year we thought they should be in, and they almost were. There's a point where you kind of got to pull the trigger because you don't want to waste this team's potential. You don't want to waste any of their promise. And there's still plenty of time left to implement a new system and, get the guys to learn it. I mean, this would be the time to do it because the definition of insanity, as we all know, boys, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And that is exactly what the Detroit Red Wings are doing because, it's an utter failure where you guys are at this year. It's a failure.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is everyone's like, well, we were due for a regression based on advanced analytics or whatever. To an extent, yes. But at the same time, I don't think we should have had this bad of a regression. Like, this team has, I think it's a bottom 5 PK in the NHL. I think we're pretty darn close to dead last at 5-on-5 production. How do you look at this group and say that's where they should be? I don't expect them to be like at the upper top of the PK group, not by a long shot, but this should not be the worst, arguably the worst PK group in the league, and should not have some of the worst 5-on-5 scoring in the league as well. There's no way, I don't think any rational person looks at this roster and says, yep, that's realistic expectation.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not good on the PK, you're not good on 5-on-5. Everybody should be good on the power play. Now, I know not all teams are, but if you're not good on the PK and 5-on-5, that's just the definition of a bad hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
that's
know
the
from
thing.
experience.
But that's the thing about this club that is so weird. It just, you watch these guys play, and it's like, there aren't, like, this is not a team that is in like the depths of a rebuild that is throwing out literally bare minimum NHL level talent. You've got guys like Tarasenko, and he's not prime Tarasenko anymore. I get it. You've got Patrick Kane, and yeah, he's not prime Patrick Kane anymore. But those guys can still shoot shots on net. They can still generate meaningful offense. You've got Alex DeBrincat, Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, even JT Compher. How is this team so bad at 5-on-5?
There's like no effort at times we see where like they give up on plays or they're putting in the wrong passes. And is it play style? Is it strategy? I don't know, but
It's
like,
coaching.
it's coaching. It has to be.
There's your answer. It's coaching.
And
Like, but the sad honesty is, who the heck do we bring in? Because if we fire Loan, let's say we fire him this week, I wish, but I doubt it, because the sick part of me believes that Yzerman is going to let it ride for the whole season. He's not Sheila Hamp Ford, who's just going to be like, this is disgusting, and fire them right after Thanksgiving when she fired Patricia and Quinn. But if for some reason Yzerman, steps up and actually does something, who the heck do we honestly bring in? Jim Montgomery is gone already.
Oh, we kind of mentioned him last week. It might be Quenneville. It might have to be Quenneville.
Oh, God. Is he, like, where is this guy? Where is Quenneville? Like, is he still around hockey? Has anyone seen him in a while?
he's floating in the ether somewhere, waiting for somebody to call him.
Yeah, it's
Floating around.
the longer you guys wait, and I mean, if it is on Yzerman, I think he's hesitant to pull the trigger on it because I think he's worried about the criticism he might face, because that was his big hire. He got to bring in his guy. He handpicked John Cooper's assistant and said, "This is the guy to lead us." And that's when people start to see a failure, is when you have to fire your guy. You're like, "Oh, I did something terribly wrong."
Yep.
It's frustrating for sure right now in Detroit. You know where it's not frustrating at, though? The Grand Rapids Griffins, man. Like,
They're first
for all
in their
the
division.
all the struggles that the Wings are having, the Griffins are not having those struggles at all. I think they're like 12-4 right now.
Mm-hmm.
That is a club that is truly like elite right now. Like, Nate Danielson has looked very good in his first season there. Amadeus Lombardi is impressing me now. I don't think he's going to be like a superstar stud, but I think he might end up being, like, if he continues at this rate, he legitimately might be one of those like gem draft finds who you find late in the draft, and he ends up being like a bottom 6 guy eventually down the road. Sebastian Cossa, oh my gosh, looks so good.
Who's our one defender that's been looking really good now that he's healthy? Wallander?
You talking about Wallander?
Yeah, he's looked really good too.
And like, even outside of the Grand Rapids Griffins, I butcher his name, Buchnelikov. He's like one of the leading scorers in the KHL right now. Like, the Wings have some good players in their pipeline. I hope to God this offseason, Steve Yzerman lets some of this dead weight go and lets those guys come in, or at least compete for spots, before just throwing money at people.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have plenty of young talent growing in our AHL roster. Kosa has the makings of a future top goaltender for our team, and possibly Trey Augustine, behind him if he keeps developing. But there's a lot of young talent down there that I'm hoping next year make a push to try and push out some of this slog that we have and add some excitement back to the team.
It's nice if the Red Wings are going to be bearable or are going to be near unbearable to watch. The Grand Rapids Griffins are exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Which it's weird because you would want it the other way around, right? Especially a team that's been out of the playoff mix for near 8 years at this point. But
Yeah.
overall, though, frustrating times in Detroit if you're a hockey fan. Just
Hoping they change.
hoping they change and hoping management changes.
I can't take another unbearable what he said quote this upcoming week from Lalonde. Like, I don't look at standing. I don't look at the standings. Like, I'm fuming still.
It, no, oh my god! His comments about not looking at the standings.
I liked your. Yeah, I'm a hiker, but I don't look at maps.
But that's what that quote is so similar to. Like, is that not a perfect parallel?
I work in finance, but I don't look at the flow of money.
We'll move on here because oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose it here if we keep talking about Lalonde. Let's go ahead and move on to the Blackhawks here in just a second. But before we do that, let's talk about one of our sponsors for tonight's show, and that's Raycon. If you're not familiar with Raycon, they make awesome earbuds that you can get on really great prices. I mean, obviously, you've got Black Friday / Cyber Monday coming up this week. Raycon has great deals that are very much like that, except with Raycon, you get an awesome deal every day of the year. And right now, they're actually doubling down on their their amazing value by offering our viewers up to 30% site-wide. Again, it's basically like it's a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal you get every day of the year. It's time to save big for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You can go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off site-wide. Again, that's right. You'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN. So let's move over to the Blackhawks, Nick, because I feel like we're going to have almost the exact same segments that we had last week.
From one dumpster fire to the next.
Yeah.
What is going on, man? Like, the Hawks can't figure it out either.
Guys, I'm starting to think Luke Richardson just might not be the guy. It seems like the players, they can't get fired up for him, or the line just never seem to work. And obviously, when you have a superstar player like Connor Bedard, he's struggling, he's aggravated, something's not right in that locker room. Don't get me wrong, he played fine against Anaheim when he had Joey Anderson and Jason Dickinson on his line, and he had 2 assists. But God, should Connor Bedard be playing with third, fourth line type players?
I mean, not really.
That's my point. It's like, what are we doing here? Put him with star. I mean, we don't have star level talent. That's the thing that sucks. We have good complementary pieces, but even then, they're all struggling. So it's like, we're trying to force Kurashev to be on his own. It's clearly not working. Kurashev and Bedard have a great history, and it just seems like we don't want to pair them together, which, again, doesn't make sense. I know you want to see what's, get the most out of players, but, maybe getting the most out of Philip Kurashev is playing him alongside Connor Bedard, and that's okay. If they have chemistry, they have chemistry. It just seems like there's no way for this offense to get going, any sort of offense to get going, when you got Peter Mrazek standing on the head, and the defense. I know that's been our issue the last few years, but the defense has been playing solid. Like, it's nothing on the defense. It's just you can't control the puck. You can't, develop any chances, and you can't convert. It sucks right now. It's terrible.
The thing that I think is so weird about the Hawks is you guys are still deep in your rebuild.
Yeah.
And if you're going to have a superstar like Connor Bedard, if you know a lot of the rest of your rosters, I mean, I don't want to say expendable. Realistically, that's the word for it, though.
Yeah.
Long-term wise, a lot of your roster's expendable. Why would you not start building chemistry and cohesion with what you think is going to be your future core when you're actually trying to compete for a cup in 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, they're playing the slow game is all I could think. They want to see who could survive on their own because maybe Bedard's potential line mates just aren't there yet. I don't know. Maybe they want to spend this upcoming off season. I don't know. I mean, Teuvo got off to this unbelievable start, and he's been quiet ever since. Bertuzzi, he has been a disappointment. He just. It seems like we brought him in to be a perfect complementary piece for Connor, and he just can't do anything. Like he's useless out there. It's frustrating.
He looks like Tyler Bertuzzi, but minus the scoring touch that he had in Detroit.
Yeah, like he plays a gritty game. It's just like it seemed like in Detroit, and don't get me wrong, Dylan Larkin's a fantastic player. But realistically, Connor Bedard is, I would say, maybe not right now, but
long term, he's going to be a better player.
Yeah, he has more upside than Dylan Larkin could dream of.
He's a higher ceiling, yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's just like you brought him in to come get these dirty goals or create chances, going deep into the dirty areas, and nothing is working. And it's aggravating. And I think the only thing left to do, and I hate to do it because the team stinks, but Richardson I don't think is the guy. I wanted him to be, but he may have just been the guy to we'll throw someone in there to go through these hard times, and then because his seat is getting hotter by the day. Yeah. If you beat the Panthers, congratulations. It's a league where it's anybody could beat anybody, but we are going out there and getting our asses kicked night after night. I don't care if it's this 2-1, 3-1 game. If you give up 2 goals, your offense should easily be able to go out there and score 3. And we can't do that. It seems like when we're down 1, it's over. Play chicken shit hockey for the rest of it, and that's the way it goes.
That's kind of the other weird thing is you kind of look at the scores for these past couple of games. But Peter Mrazek has been stupid good the past couple of games he's been in net. He's kept the Hawks in games that realistically they should have no business being in.
Absolutely. I mean, I hate to talk about trade pieces already, but teams got to be come on. There's teams that need a goalie like Peter Mrazek that are contending for playoffs.
And that's the thing is Peter Mrazek, salary-wise for what you're getting right now out of him, you're getting such stupid good value. Could you imagine him on a team if he plays the way he's playing now? If he was playing on a team that had a real solid defensive group and had a forward group that could finish goals, he'd look like a Vezina caliber goaltender.
Yeah. I mean, he's gotten the work in the last few years. I'm not even joking. This year, the defense has been the furthest thing from the issue. But I mean, obviously, the last 2 years, it's oh my God, we're letting up 40 shots a night. And so Mrazek got his work in. He's got everything else down, and now he's playing really good hockey. And he, to no avail on the record book for him. It's just you put up great numbers, but your team can't go out there and help you out. So what good is it? What value does that bring to us? Because we're still going out there getting embarrassing, and the locker room is in shambles right now.
And that's kind of the weird thing about the Hawks is that you guys, I don't really look at who you guys have out there and say, players A, B, and C are going to be the ones who carry this team to a win on any given night. Bedard is obviously great, but you have to have more than 1 or 2 offensive threats. And the Hawks, none of their players are playing like they're offensive threats. Bertuzzi hasn't been one. Teravainen has been very quiet. And
Bedard has too.
Athanasiou ended up just going to Rockford this season at this point. It's so weird how they're like Detroit. They have no ability to generate goals right now.
Yeah, there's when Bedard can't score, it truly seems like nobody else can. It's been 11, I think 12. He's on a 12-game goal drought right now.
Yeah,
which everybody's oh, he's a lock for 40 this year with the Lions. He might not get 20 at this rate. It's pathetic. He'll figure out the scoring touch. Obviously, sophomore slumps happen. It's that's something we kind of should have factored in. But the fact that he has no help around him, like Jason Dickinson and Joey Anderson are our two biggest helpers right now, it's sickening. It's sickening.
You want me to give you a nasty stat, Nick? Go look at Dylan Strome's stat line in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
For all the Hawks fans who were crapping on him in that contract, oh my God, does he look good?
He looks great. And we let him go for nothing.
Let him go for nothing, and I don't even think the Hawks offered him a contract back, did they?
Mm-mm.
Oh my, that is a blunder if ever.
Yeah, and oh God, man, I want to say I'm numb to everything with all things Chicago sports right now, but each and every day it just seems to get worse, and it seems like there's no end in sight. I hate to say it, but like that's where I'm at with this season. I thought we were gonna have fun, being big games and we're playing more competitive on the defensive side of things. Like we're staying in games just because of our defense and goaltending. Our offense is just non-existent.
Both of our teams like, oh, you wanted to have fun?
Oh boy, was I wrong.
So I guess we can talk about it for a little bit really quick. But so the Blackhawks officially announced and showed off their Winter Classic jerseys for the game versus St. Louis this week. Dude, I got to admit, man, those are really nice sweaters. Like, they're not overly flashy. They've got a little bit of like a callback to them from like some of the older jerseys that they've worn. But when you look at them, you can obviously tell this is a Blackhawks sweater.
Oh yeah, they are beautiful. It's a shame we're probably going to get our asses kicked wearing them on New Year's Eve, but no, they're absolutely beautiful sweaters. It's just like I'm shocked at creativity and how great they could still come out because, the joke around the NHL is like, oh, the Hawks are in another outdoor game, yippee, yippee. But, they just do a phenomenal job with their designs, man. Like each and every year, there hasn't been one that I've hated. And this one might crack my top 3. I know, Jordan, you have a physical copy of one. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to get my hands on one eventually. But yeah, they're absolutely beautiful. Props to whoever was involved to design this sweater. It's perfect, and I'm looking forward to seeing them rock it on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, and
now for the fans, who knows? Fanatics might screw it up for you guys, but Jordan, you got the better insight on that.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. Like you said, I got my hands on one this week, and I paid to get the rush shipping because I wanted to give everybody a chance to see that jersey up close. And I'm not talking about the doctored shots that you're going to get from an advertising agency where everything looks perfect in the pictures. I have one in person. Look for the video within like the next 2 days. It's going to drop. I'm going to show you all of the jersey, all the little details, kind of talk about just my general opinions and overviews of it so you can get an actual picture of what you're thinking about buying if you're looking to buy one. That way you can make a smart decision about it. Also, I'm going to do the same thing with the Stadium Series jersey that the Wings are going to have later on this year. But we'll talk about that when that we get closer and they actually show it. But yeah, keep an eye out for that this week also if you're interested in getting that Winter Classic jersey. I've got one. I'm going to have a video dropping within like the next 2 days or so. I just have to finish editing it and really get it uploaded. But keep on the lookout for that if you're interested in buying that jersey.
And that's all the good news for the Hawks.
that is all.
There you have
it. We can move on to the flash forward here for the Hawks and the Wings here in just a second. But first, I want to talk about one of our other sponsors for tonight's show, and that's DraftKings Sportsbook. Obviously, the NHL is underway, the 2024-25 season. It's still pretty fresh. We're like 20-ish% in. So, it's still got that new car smell, so to speak, where like, you're still trying to figure out, what is the league looking like. And like I said, with DraftKings, it's a place where you can bet on all sports. So like, let's say we're just talking about the Winter Classic, right? You can bet on the Winter Classic and if the Hawks are going to put up 5 or if they're going to get 5 scored on them. You can bet on, is Connor Bedard going to get the first goal of that game? Is St. Louis going to get the first goal of that game? Stuff like that. You can bet on all that stuff on DraftKings. And if you're new to DraftKings, new customers, you bet just $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. Again, that's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins and you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-77777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Bill Hill Casino and Resorts in Kansas. You have to be 21 plus, age and eligibility varying by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice. Copyrighted by the NHL 2024. All rights are reserved. So, fellas, let's look at the week to come for the Red Wings and the Blackhawks. It's kind of unique because the Red Wings are going. I guess we'll kind of talk about them first because we started with them first. The Red Wings are going to go back to play against the Calgary Flames on Wednesday.
We got the Islanders tomorrow.
They've got the Islanders tomorrow, and they have the Devils on Friday. And then they have the Canucks on Sunday.
Yep.
So they have 4 games this week. I'll be honest, I don't feel confident about any of these games, David, and that is so crushing to see.
You know what's even more soul crushing? We go 0-4, and Lalonde will still have his job.
He will still have a job.
There's no doubt about it.
The Islanders, I think, are going to get retribution. Calgary has weirdly enough been half decent this year.
They've been good.
The Devils,
flying high.
Yeah, I still think people are sleeping on just how good the Devils can be. Mm-hmm. And then the Canucks have been the Canucks still from last year.
Hey, can you imagine if we could have had Quinn Hughes, Hindsight's 2020, I know.
Hindsight is 2020, though. I got to be fair to Ken Holland on that one.
Yeah. I just remember watching that draft. My son was like a newborn by like a few days, and I'm rocking him, and I have my phone watching it. And they showed a literal like highlight clip of Quinn Hughes, like 2 picks before us, because like they were projecting him to go to the Wings. Like, oh, he's going to be great. And then Zadina was available, and I'm like, uh-oh, things changed.
But yeah, I just I think if you're a Wings fan, expect an 0-4 week. That it's gonna be not a fun time.
Hey, we can get our hopes down to 0, and if they somehow win one of those games, it'll feel like amazing.
If you've ever seen Dodgeball, it's the Peter LaFleur. You just have to set your expectations super low. That way, you can't be disappointed.
That's a great movie right now.
Could you imagine, like, at the start of the season, if we'd be predicting we'd have an 0-4 week?
Never would have thought it. We were so hyped in the offseason and preseason. We're like, man, like, our top 6 is going to look great. It sucks that Ghost Bear's gone, Wallman's gone, but I think the defense is going to pull together. Yeah, 38-year-old Cam Talbot's been, like, top of his game.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine how bad we'd be if he had not been just like a Super Saiyan mode?
And Alex Lyon coming up big at times as well.
It just, oh my gosh. All right, here's my prediction for this week. The Wings go 0-4, and Steve Yzerman finally pulls the trigger and gets rid of Lalonde.
I'm going to say he doesn't. Lalonde's going to have at least 3 quotes that just infuriate us this week as well.
But
that's my prediction.
Bad times for the Wings. That's what I'm predicting this week.
All right, Nick,
do you got a better prediction?
How's your dumpster fire going?
Well, it's just about as fire as you guys can be. I'm gonna be as optimistic as I possibly can. We play Dallas on Wednesday. We're gonna get throttled. We play Minnesota on Friday. We're gonna lose. I think we win against Columbus on Sunday. I think I might come on here because I don't have to watch that shitty football team I'm supposed to watch every Sunday because they get it out of the way on Thursday. I might come on the show on Sunday with a little twinkle in my eye because the Hawks beat the mighty Blue Jackets
There
in
you
like
go.
a 2-1 shootout. I think we go 1-2 on the week. Wouldn't shock me if it's 0-3, but I feel like I should be optimistic. Thanksgiving's here. I should be thankful for these glorious sports teams I get to watch night in and night out. I'm going to say they go 1-2 on the week.
So you at least have the right to expect losses. David and I got tricked into this position.
At least I don't have to watch them because God forbid Chicago sports you're able to watch them out here.
Yeah, that
He doesn't
Losers.
want the app.
that's gotta be so frustrating.
Well, I look at the app, but then I have to go through setting the app, go on my phone, and then I have to stream the phone to my TV when it's not on the Fire Stick yet. So it's like
For one of the biggest, best cities in our country, Chicago, they sure really screwed up their sports in terms of people being able to view it. Whereas Vegas, who's like new to the whole sports, like professional teams, is like, they can watch it whenever they want. We're gonna stream all our games on TV. Like they'll all be there.
Oh my gosh! I promise I'm gonna try to stop saying it. It's almost like the NHL should just make a central hub where you can pay like $15 a month and watch all of the league's games. It's almost like that works for a lot of the other major sports franchises and the other major sports leagues.
Jeez.
But the league's still stuck back in the early '90s, so don't get your hopes up.
it's better than busting out your antenna.
We can move on to the rest of the NHL here in just a second. But we're going to talk about one of our other sponsors for tonight's show as well, and that's Game Time. Game Time is the online platform that you can use to get tickets to games coming up. So let's say you're a Wings fan and you want to sit here and subject yourself to the game versus Calgary or the game versus the Devils, for example. You can get your tickets on Game Time to it. Game Time has a feature where basically you can sort through, I think it's called Game Time Picks, where you filter out all the fluff to show only the good deals on the great seats that they've got. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find what are good picks for you. Game Time just picks that for you. That's what you're into. So, like I said, if you wanted to get good seats to either what at least I will project as the stomping from Calgary this week. If you want to see that on Game Time, you can go on Game Time and get your tickets that way. I've gotten great deals before in the past. I don't even know how I got them, but I got row 6 2 years ago for like $60 a ticket. Very cheap considering if you look at the prices on a lot of the other ticket websites and apps. Pretty good deal, all things considered. But yeah, you can get tickets on Game Time. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. You can download the Game Time today. And obviously, what time is it? Well, it's game time. Fellas, let's move on to the rest of the NHL to close out the show. There are two major pieces of news for the NHL. The first one we'll talk about Jim Montgomery being fired from the Boston Bruins, and then Alex Ovechkin out for at least a couple weeks now with an injury. Jim Montgomery, could you imagine having a coach with his track record and the record that Boston has?
I know, St. Louis can now imagine it.
But could you imagine being a Boston fan and you went and had I think the best season of all time 2 seasons ago, right? Record wise. This guy also took you to the second round of the playoffs last year. I want to say he's got a 70 or 75% win rate amongst games that he's been a coach for. And you can this guy because you have a winning record right now? What?
That's just the difference between organizations that care about winning and not. I mean, I don't. It's crazy, right? I mean, it's like the Boston Bruins have now fired their last 3 coaches they fired. They're 1 year, maybe 2 years removed from Coach of the Year awards, and It's just like the second you have the slightest bit of
Struggle.
yeah, I was gonna say unsuccess. Struggle is a way better word. The slightest bit of struggle, you're like, this guy's not it. He's gone. And it's like, let them go through adversity, but who am I to judge the Boston Bruins? They've been successful for many, many years. They're going to continue to be successful. And then the St. Louis Blues are like, they told, but Doug Armstrong came out and said, we fired our head coach strictly because Jim Montgomery was available. Our head coach was doing a good enough job, but Jim Montgomery's available, so sayonara. Like, you don't see that kind of honesty at all. It's like, yeah, he's okay, but it's Jim Montgomery.
It's Jim Montgomery.
So get lost. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I still can't get over the fact that, like, they got rid of Jim Montgomery, and, like, Boston doesn't even have a bad record. Like, that's the thing about this is, like, the guy literally took you to the second round of the playoffs last year. He took you to the most winning season the NHL has ever seen. And you fire him because the team's not quite up to the expectation you wanted. Like, props to the St. Louis Blues for having the stones to just make a bold move like that.
120, 41, and 23 was Jim Montgomery's record with the Boston Bruins.
So I was very close. What did I say? 70 to 75% win ratio?
Yeah.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Could you imagine getting rid of a coach who wins 3/4 of his games?
He wasn't even unemployed for a full week. 5 days.
Yzerman didn't want to hire him because he's not niche enough.
5 days he was unemployed. 5 days.
Oh, my God.
Yzerman's that hipster GM where he's like, no, like, you can't go for this amazing winning coach. You got to go for this obscure coach no one really knows about.
I already don't really care for the Bruins, but, dude, I hope they implode after this move. And I get they've won the 2 games after he left. But let's be honest here. One of them was versus the Detroit Red Wings.
That doesn't count. Yeah, you're right. So,
like, I sincerely hope the Bruins implode after this because that is such a nonsense move.
They won't. That's the thing. It's the Boston Bruins. They have a deal with the devil. They're going to find a way to succeed. And it's like, you look at their team on paper, and it's not the greatest roster in the world.
No. Like, I think Jeremy Swayman's sitting at like an 88 save percent or something like that. Like, he is not the Jeremy Swayman that was putting up, like, near Vezina level numbers. Like,
yeah, is it Jim Montgomery's fault that Jeremy Swayman can't save a beach ball? No. God. Some organizations, man, the standards that they have, which I respect. I mean, I respect you wanting to be the best team you could possibly be. And if you think your head coach is not getting the job done, then okay, that's what you think. That's great. You care about your team's success. Meanwhile, you got us 3 losers here. They're just like, one day we'll get our coach. No, it's not happening. We'll have to wait till the end of the year.
I really feel like the NHL is such a cutthroat world for coaching staff. Like, is there even a coach in the NHL at this point who has more than 3 years of seniority and like with a team?
Yeah.
Florida. What's his face?
Brindamore too.
Brindamore, yeah. I think they won't fire Brindamore just because he's scary and he'll probably
and they're
hurt
good.
them. Yeah.
No, but I know what you mean, Jordan. It is a constant, what have you done for me lately league in the NHL. And it's, like you said, it's cutthroat. You know, if you're not successful for consecutive seasons, oftentimes you're hosed.
It's crazy, though, that a coach like Jim Montgomery got let go, given his track record.
It is. But congrats to the Blues. You got yourselves one hell of a coach.
Yep.
As sickening as that is, it means to say that.
Hopefully he looks at the standings.
He probably does.
Probably.
I think he might.
I would say 30, 31 all the other 31 coaches do. If I had to guess.
Not all of them.
No, 31. 31.
Okay, okay.
It's like 99% of the league. That's great.
Well, while we're talking about standings, let's talk about Alex Ovechkin for the Washington Capitals, a team who, weirdly enough, is
Brutal.
on the top of the standings. Very much, I think, thanks to Ovechkin. But
I feel
Alex
so bad.
Ovechkin is officially out for the foreseeable future with an injury. I've seen people talking about, well, is he really going to get the goal scoring record? Listen, I think he's still got time left in his tank to get that goal record. But even if he doesn't, he's still going to go down as the best goal scorer
Oh.
of all time.
He's getting the record. He was on pace to beat it this year.
But I'm saying even if he doesn't, which
Yeah.
he will still go down as the best goal scorer of all time. Like,
Yeah. It sucks. This was such a gutting injury. He was scoring at probably one of the highest paces. I think it was like the second highest pace in his career. He had 15 goals in 18 games. He was coming off 5 goals in 2 games, and then a freak knee-to-knee collision, and it fractures his fibula, and it's gut-wrenching because at the pace he was going, he could have shattered this thing by New Year's. But not realistically, but it could have been done this year because I think he needs 26 more goals. And Alex Ovechkin is a freak, so he still might be able to score 26 when he gets back before the end of the year. I think realistically now we're looking into early next season. It gets broken. And it sucks because that was the main storyline night after night. It seems like it's like, holy shit, Ovi scored again. He scored again. He scored again. It's like, oh. So Gretzky gets to, take a deep breath. It's going to be his record for a little bit longer here. And, we're hoping Ovi comes back healthy because we want to see this. We want to see history. We deserve history.
that's the thing. Like, as much as I don't like the Caps, and David, you don't like him either.
Nope.
It is fun to watch Alex Ovechkin try to set a record for the NHL. Just when you take the team equation out of it, that is something very cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean he's the greatest goal scorer. He's going to be the greatest goal scorer of all time.
Yep.
And initially it was a record that a lot of people thought wouldn't be broken. And then you got this guy, you got the grade 8 coming over from Russia, 18 years ago, and it's like, holy shit, this guy's a superstar. And I can't wait for him to come back because he is going to come back with a vengeance. And the way the Caps have been playing, I think he may have a shot to get it done before the playoffs.
Oh my!
He may have a shot.
He would have to play crazy though.
He was playing. That's the thing that sucks though, is because it's such a devastating injury. It's a fractured fibula. I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
and the rate he was playing, it's just so tough for him to come back this year and go back to scoring at the pace he was. But, we can hope. The guy is a freak. He's a bull. And, we're hoping he comes back soon so we can see that record shattered.
yeah, that'd be a cool thing to see this season. Like, if the Wings miss the playoffs and the Hawks continue to decline, I think that would be a fun consolation prize for us to have this year to see that happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, God, devastating.
But I think that's all the topics that we have for tonight's show. So I'm going to close this out here. As always, everybody, thank you for checking out the show and tuning in. Thank you for the listen, the watch, whatever you use to consume the show with. We appreciate you checking us out on that platform. Feel free to give us a like, follow, share, whatever the social media currency is on the platform you found us. It does help the show grow a lot. Also, again, check out our sponsors, Raycon, DraftKings, and Game Time. All of them are fantastic sponsors, and they actually do have good products that are worth checking out. If you're into the respective products that they sell, they are worth checking out. They're actually really good sponsors. But that is it for our show. For your host, Jordan Scott, for my co-hosts, David Barnhouse and Nick LePage, this has been another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. We'll catch you guys back all here next week for another episode. In the meantime, have a good, happy Thanksgiving and spend some time with your loved ones or your friends. And we'll catch you back all here next week. Take it easy, guys. Later.
Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.